new Coyote model, the Coyote Mark II. He's got a bunch of little feathers on there, and the one before that had more of a cowboy aesthetic. To add on to that, you could think of props that you might imagine on that type of character. So, bow and arrow, for instance, or maybe more, I don't know, native wear, stuff like that. If you can imagine your character, if you look at yourself right now, if you can imagine yourself in something else, the first thing that comes to your mind, it will help develop that character into something more than it already is. Is anybody willing to step up? Oh, geez.
I
I'm
don't
sorry,
have
I just
I don't
froze up
have
for
an
a
OC
second.
and VR chat that's
Right.
finished yet. I wish I could.
Yeah, it's the same.
I guess.
Yes,
I just have a public model.
Yeah, go on. Come here.
I didn't
I
have one. Ah,
So what do you think about your character? What do you think could add on to this that would develop it further?
I feel like just like a occasional carrot in my hand, just to kind of munch on, like, hey, what's up?
Yeah, exactly. You already got the long ears, you got the sort of like the short stature, and in
Yeah.
general the Nazis are sort of like cheeky, so a carrot going like, "What's up, Doc?" All that.
Basically.
That would add on to that. Yeah. Now if you think
I
that
really make
further,
assets in my ears too, just like flop down on sad.
yeah. It helps put that further into people's sort of perspective, if you will. It adds depth to a character. You can sit back if you want.
Thank you.
If you think about a character, you can think about it like a picture or a painting. You can have a single color on there, and that could be the end of it. Or you could add in extra colors, extra lines, extra definition, dimensions to a character which you maybe not imagined before until someone showed you. So if you think about those things, you can help perpetuate a sort of lore almost. A sort of story of that character. It doesn't even have to be your character. A lot of people here probably have a persona, and some of them might have like written a story or a backstory for that, and you feel very close at heart with that. This might be a bit more difficult to perpetuate in VR chat. We have, the textures that we can make, we have the props that we can add onto that, but we can never quite get that story communicated over into the virtual realm. And that's the toughness of it. This is why clothing, this is why props, why effects, although not overly done, are so important for these types of stories that we want to tell, for these types of characters that we want to act. Adding on to I hate chairs, by the way.
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah!
Sorry, it seems they disappeared.
Oh no!
Uh.
On the surface level.
Oh.
Yeah? Yeah?
What happened? You just disappeared.
I clicked on a chair because I'm very stupid.
Oh.
Yes. On the surface level, we can look entertaining. We can seem like we're the most interesting thing. But if we don't gesture, if we don't act our way, that means nothing. If you don't move the way you want to move while you're talking, it'll all sort of slowly fall apart. And this, as well, translates into real life. This adds on to cosplaying with both any sort of cosplay you might have, any fursuit you might have, any of these things, you have to gesture. Because the one thing that falls away while being both in cosplay, in a fursuit, and in virtual reality is that you are almost unable to express emotion, you're unable to express a gesture. So you want to exaggerate that. If you're moving around, you want to not just like walk like you're walking across the street. You want to take big steps. You want to move your body with it. If anybody here has full body and wants to try that, please come up. Anybody here? I know a couple of you do.
Go on, Sterling. Go on.
I will.
Go on.
Go on.
Oh,
Hi.
rage.
Yeah.
Oop.
Hi.
Hey, hi. So walk like you would walk across the street. Just walk normally, I guess.
Okay.
Like it's just walking. Now, a kobold might be a little sort of like gremlin character, might be a little, scamper character.
Yeah.
So you can already imagine that they're a little bit hunched up, a little bit forward. So if you go forward a little bit and you spread your arms like this a little bit, like so,
Like this?
and then you sort of like walk like this, like step, side, but forward still.
Like this?
Yeah, a little bit wider, and then you sort of like move side to side.
Tracking's kind of messed up today.
So you're already a little bit more in the aesthetic, if you will, of a kobold. You're a little bit more of a little creature. There's a lot of little creatures here, as well as a couple big ones in the back who are graciously, behind the small ones so they can see. So this is a good example of what I mean with playing into the character that you have with the gestures at your command. A lot of people like to have their gestures disabled, which makes me sad because it removes like emotion, it removes gesture from a character.
Okay.
So if you enable your gestures, you can add so much more depth to any character that you're portraying. If you play with those things, you can actually transform that level that's missing from the virtual reality, that's missing from, for instance, like most fursuits, into the virtual realm. You can give people that sense of humanity and connection that they're missing, and by that merit, you can connect more to the person that you're interacting with. Give me a second to take a drink of water.
Yeah, hydration.
By hydrogen monoxide.
Did you just say the cursed words?
It's dihydrogen monoxide.
Yeah. The same thing they put in bleach.
Hydrogen monoxide.
Mm.
It hydrates you.
Okay.
Yes, here we are. I want to lead that into a. By the way, before I continue any further, are there any burning questions? No? I might be extremely blind
Doesn't
because you
look
might
like
be
it.
small or far away. So.
I'm closer, I don't really see anything.
Yeah, well, seems to be all right.
You can do
Now this
gestures in
rolls
desktop too,
into-
by the way.
Heads poking out of chairs.
So I guess I could say that. You can use the
Say again?
function and shift keys, and then you can have gestures with that.
In desktop
Yeah,
mode.
exactly.
Yeah.
For the
Yeah,
desktop
left shift to
users,
right, left hand, right shift to right hand.
yeah,
And
there's
then
a lot
the
of
function
gestures that go lost on desktop users as well, though some of them use them. And that is if you use those shift keys, you can practice in the mirror, which is what I do every single time I log onto VRChat as well. I spawn in that homeworld, I stand in front of the mirror, and I make sure that what I have bound to my, bindings, all my buttons, are actually doing what I think I'm portraying on the character. So
there. Oh yeah, I've made
knowing
the mistake. before.
yeah, you don't want to look angry when you think you're being happy. You don't want to look sad when
Yeah.
you think you're being, hostile with someone.
I did this
So
instead
if
of
you
this.
can mind map these things to your fingers, basically to your gestures, it'll happen quicker than you think. You'll do these things faster than you might realize because it's such a base human thing to gesture. It's such a normal thing to communicate with the face to other people. That's one of those things that just gets lost with cosplay, that gets lost with VR. Let me just get my notes here. Yeah, there.
Everything's in the recording. The
Using the expectations
sounded
that you
so
have
good.
set for yourself is very important. I'm not going to expect, you know, someone like Phoenix over here to be all cute and adorable when they're looking like a warrior. Of course, you can turn this on the flip side and act cute and adorable when people are not expecting this of you. It's all about pulling a reaction from someone that you're interacting with. So understanding what you look like, understanding what your fursuit, what your cosplay, what your avatar looks like is key in knowing how to play that further past just the gesturing and just the, I'd say, the texture that you slap on. So, for instance, let's see here. Someone big, someone like Jinsent over there. If they stand up, they're going to be very intimidating because they have red eyes and a black hoodie and they're looking down on you because they're extremely tall. He knows to play into that because he's looking down and he knows he's big. If you're small, like Triad over here, you might be acting a lot more cute, a lot more adorable. You might be, you know, careful with what you say. These things are part of the tempo and attitude of a character. The tempo and attitude. Tempo of a character defines to yourself how quick they are in their speech, in their mannerisms, in their thinking. If they might quickly come to conclusions, they'll be very quick to accept things. They'll be very quick to move around. They might not think about this, you know, a lot at all, but their attitude might be mischievous. Their attitude might be something of, you know, carefulness, of boldness, something like that. If you can think of your tempo and attitude and define that, then you're more solidifying the image of your character that you're portraying, and thus you can know better how to use your gestures and your motions in portraying this to other people. This is very important because at the end of the day, you're not seeing you, they are seeing you. Is anyone here, you know, quickly thinking about their tempo or their attitude? Yeah, you?
Yeah.
Come here. Hi.
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 Um. So since my character's kind of shorter, so and do the fox kind of look of my avatar, I kind of give out that sort of sneaky, sort of
Yeah.
mischievous,
Like
like you
a-
said before.
Yeah, so that's sort of like the attitude. They're you know, they're sneaky, they're very careful, and their tempo would be, I'd say, you know, slow, careful, very thoughtful of things, thinking it through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think somewhat the color palette might come into that too, since my colors are more of a, I'd say mellow, or
Yeah.
nothing like extreme, like a bright red or blue. I kind of give a
Exactly.
more
That ties
calm
in
attitude.
with the texture note I put out earlier. So, in knowing the tempo and attitude, you can also, if you don't know yet how your character has to look, you can subtract basically what your character can look like. If we think of sneaky, stealthy stuff, we immediately think of dark sort of alleyways. We think of like, you know, the thieves' mask, like he is on. Thank you, Coco. So we can also say then that, for instance, Danny over there, they're not going to be very sneaky. You'll probably see them very quickly. Well, with the bright green eyes. But again, Phoenix is a great example with the markings and the texture all across. It fits in with the aesthetic and the posture that he's created. You can expect things from his character just by looking at him. You don't have to interact yet, but you can just expect things by looking at them in the same way that you might expect the carrot that they pointed out earlier with the Nanachi. There we go. So, how do we translate this to real life? How do we do this in real life? Without a fursuit, things get somewhat easier. You have a predefined character, you have your face that you can use, which is very useful because you can portray your gestures much easier. You can use your hands. With the fursuit, it gets a little bit more difficult. But using the expectations that people have set for you just by looking at you, you can already play with whoever wants to interact with you, which is usually very clear. If someone wants to interact with you, they'll come up on you or they'll be near you. So my own fursuit is a big, black, sort of menacing wolf. In order to correctly portray that, I walk hunched over, slow, menacing. You look at people, you don't just walk at them, you walk around them. But if you're a cute pink and white bunny, you're going to be, tippling towards these people. You're going to be super happy that they're there. So thinking about how you are perceived, how your character is perceived in the eyes of other people must be instrumental in your own reasoning and how you're like approaching them, right? Does anyone here have a fursuit?
I do.
Yeah. Other people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a
Anyone
few.
want to come up here and tell tell other people how you're currently interacting with people when you're wearing it?
Sure.
Go on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My main character is Green Dragon, and one of the very first instances was at a local anime convention, and a mother came up with her son, and she wanted a picture with me in my fursuit, Green Dragon, with her son.
Yeah.
I look back to her son. He wanted nothing to do with me. He was frightened.
Oh.
And, okay, I'm a dragon. I got teeth. I got horns. I got claws. Very scary. A child got down.
Yeah.
Still, what? But mom could stand beside me. He was on the other side, and grandma took the picture. So part of it is watching your audience. From my experience of being in fursuit, watch the audience. They will tell you if they want to interact or if they're a bit hesitant.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So knowing your audience, knowing, what they want, and especially like seeing if they even want the interaction. The
Mhm.
kids sometimes are extremely terrified or extremely happy to see you.
Yes.
One of the
Yes.
two.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mhm.
So, again, knowing what you look like to others, he portrayed it very, very well. Horns, teeth, claws. Kid, this size, extremely terrified, absolutely mortified. He doesn't want to, have any of that, but the mother will think it's a great picture. So then you take the picture and you go on. But that key part of knowing what you look like and understanding in that moment not to freeze up, but to compromise. He got way low down, same eye level as the kid. That's very important. Okay. let's say you've got your character down in VR or in real life, one of the two. You got your tempo and attitude, you got your texture, you got everything we just discussed. It's all set, it's all ready. How do we improve on that? By pulling and pushing character traits. If it's fierce, you want to make it fiercer. If it's cute, you want to make it cuter. If it's, scared, you want to make it terrified. By pulling and pushing character traits, we can amplify the gesture and emotion that we already have into a bigger scale. By amplifying the gesture that we have, we can more effectively communicate the things that we want to communicate about our character and our movement, our gesture. So if we, for instance, are a little bit afraid of something, if we are acting as if like, oh, I don't want any of that, then you duck away like this. You don't just back off, you use your whole body in order to gesture and action away from these things. If you're going to be trying to be scary to something, you don't just go like this. You lift your arms, you stand on your tiptoes, you sort of move your whole body forward. In this way, emotion and gesture is more effectively communicated, and especially in real life with your new fursuit or your new cosplay or your new avatar, for instance, with this, it helps a lot to move with your whole body, not just your hands or your legs or your head. So you can, again, practice these things beforehand in the mirror or at home or with friends. Now, especially if we have avatars or suits that are not our size. Let's say, for instance, Jensen again. He's very, very big. I doubt that he reaches the ceiling in real life like so. So he's gonna have to had a little bit of practice to, duck under railings. He's gonna have to practice not knocking over other people. And the same thing applies in real life. If we have a fursuit, it's undoubtedly bigger than we are. Practicing at home before you go to any event that you wanna play yourself at, it's important to understand not just what you look like, but what size you are. So your legs, your body, your head, maybe your tail, which you didn't have before, is all gonna be bigger. It's all gonna move around. It's gonna bump into things. If you understand the size that you have together with what you look like, the gestures that you perform will be amplified even more to the point where you can effectively fit into your character. You want everyone who's looking at you to forget that there's someone under the mask. You want to forget. They want to forget that there's someone under the headset. They want to believe this character, and you can only have them believe your character if you are able to perform these emotions, these gestures as well as you want them to be. At the core of all of it lies emotion, gesture, tempo, and attitude. These four attributes, these characteristics, build up any performance that there is. Are there any questions so far? Here, no? Duck? You did this?
Think
Well,
so.
I was stretching.
Yeah, okay. Just making sure, you're very small. Yeah, okay. So anybody here who wants to try out something that they might have learned just now?
Everyone is very shy, it seems.
It seems so.
Yeah, go on.
Hello.
Hello.
So tempo is something I never thought about before. My
Um,
character right now. Yeah.
Go
Sorry,
on. You're a
can you
bit
hear me?
hard to hear, but yeah.
Oh, how about now?
Yeah, sorry.
Any better? Okay, I'll speak up. My avatar at the moment is a fox, but I'm supposed to be a dog. So I'm getting another one made. But as I'm a dog, I feel like my tempo should kind of be a bit fast-paced, excitable, head tilts, stick the tongue
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, if your character is a dog about this size probably, then you're gonna be all excited. You're gonna be all energetic. You're gonna move around like this. You're gonna be happy. You're gonna be excitable. Your tempo is fast. Your attitude is quick to accept things. You go with the flow as much as the flow is willing to go.
Yeah.
So with that, that's a great example of how you can apply tempo and attitude to a character. So if you think about, thank you. If you think about your characters, if you think about the size and what they look like, you can effectively apply these things and learn to start acting your character in the way that it might be meant to be played. It's all, of course, up to you eventually. I can't go and sit inside your skin and do it. At the end of the day, you have to do it.
I mean, we do have cloning.
Yeah, okay, in a way.
Only if they're public.
Only if they're public, yeah.
Or have
Let's
hacks.
see here. Jen, come here. I have a good little idea. So Jen sent Holly is a friend of mine who's been a great partaker in the active acting part of these things. So for instance, he's massive, I'm tiny. So let's say he wants to hit me on my head. In VR, things just go through each other, so you have to act that part out. Go on then, hit me on my head. So you can see how these things, add into each other. Thank you, Jin, for the demonstration.
No worries.
Yeah. In this way, in VR especially, you have to be conscious of your size and of your friend's size. If you want to hug a Nanachi, it's gonna be a lot different than if you were to hug a coyote or whatever. Any of that. If you want to pose, it's mindful to be of what you look like and the shape of you and what your body parts do. Again, practice in a mirror because this genuinely helps you build an internal image of what you look like and how these things look to others. I need another sip of water.
Do it.
More hydration.
Always
Male-
hydrate.
male-
Water is by far my favorite type of water to drink.
Hydration, homies.
I'm more of a fan of water.
I like the dehydrated
Wow.
water.
Underrated.
Very.
Now, I think I covered most of the of the topics that I wanted to cover, and I think we're getting up on time in a moment here, if we haven't passed it already.
Haven't just yet.
Nah, not quite.
20
So I want
minutes.
to pluck out some people with VR, preferably, but doesn't have to be, to come up here and try and do something which they haven't done before. They try and gesture in a way they have not done, beforehand, or explain to me what they feel like is the tempo and attitude that we discussed earlier. So first of all, I want to try out Triad.
Oh my god, okay. literally like my friends are watching this and they said and they kept saying, "Oh, try go up." Like, nah.
I'm sorry for
It's
putting you on the
inevitable.
spot, but
No,
it
no,
is
no,
part
it's
workshop.
It's whatever.
Yeah. So go on then. Let's see here.
I mean, I'm not really sure. I just like, I don't know.
So you're a little mouse. You might be carefree, you know. You're moving around already a little bit, you know. You might be a bit
Yeah.
dreamy, a bit, you know, out of this world. You don't quite, you know, you're not sure. So
Yeah.
Mm.
you know,
Depending on
try
circumstances, the girls
walking
be
in the
more
way
alert
that
and more
is
jittery.
carefree, in a
Yeah.
way that is you know, a bit mindless.
I had to move my chair. Hold on. Oh,
Yeah, that's fine.
so like,
Yeah, don't trip
That's
over
not a
the
good idea
chair.
to live in chairs more.
Or
Yeah.
disadvantages
there
of
you go,
doing
like-
cons at
Or
home.
your chair itself.
Oh, don't fall.
oops. I was moving my wire.
Oh, don't trip
Many
over it.
times,
Yeah,
but,
like yeah, moving your arms like this, you can accentuate that more by like swaying your body a little bit like this, and then swaying your head with that as well. Remember, use your whole body.
oh, like
Yeah,
that. I
see?
guess?
It's already more expressive. It's already more portraying the carefree emotion that, you know, you'd want to portray. Maybe. Now, I know the Nanachis also have a lot of expressions on them. So, I don't know if you have any of them, you know, enabled.
Yeah, I have enabled. Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
for instance, you could have the smiling one. I think there's one on there. Yeah.
I honestly don't know because I got this recently, so I'm not 100% sure.
Oh. No sweat. In any case, moving your whole body while gesturing is very important to portray that gesture, that emotion. You can sit down if you want to.
Oh, okay.
Let's see here. Coco. Go on then.
Righto.
You want to give it a try? You want to try, like, you know, sneaking around a little bit?
Sure. A little bit difficult with not being able to control legs, but
Well, you could, like, couch down a little bit like this.
Right.
Like so. And with your hand a
Yeah,
little
but
bit forward.
sometimes it's not animation.
Yeah. There you go. Slow, careful. You know, doing with what he has, he can still look a little bit sneaky and a little bit mischievous to play into the gesture and the character that he's already set up. Now, even without full body tracking, you already know that he's being sneaky and careful. You can see the bandit mask on him. You can sort of tell from his texture, from his slow movement, that he's
Would that be
trying to
better
be
with the arms
sneaky.
up?
Yeah.
Hmm.
You can sit down, Coco, if you want to. Anyone else want to give this a try? Go ahead.
I could step up to the plate, I guess.
Yeah, 1 second. 1 second.
Yep, there you go, Shade.
Hi, welcome. So, what do you think
Hello.
the tempo and attitude of your character is?
Excited. I think it's very excited and exploratory. Like it likes to explore, look at things.
Yeah. And how do you think that character gestures and moves about?
Honestly, I haven't given that much thought about it. Like, it's very flowy. Like I don't know if you have dynamic goings on, but it moves around a lot.
Yeah.
And
This makes it
yeah.
very easy to turn a little gesture into a big one because you already have the bones in
Mhm.
there, so it makes moving things a lot easier, a lot more
Yeah.
alive, a lot more gestural. So exploratory. you'd be, walking at a regular pace. You'd be looking around, looking up and about, looking very curious.
Mhm.
So, you could, go like this, like, oh, what's that? What's this? I don't know. Like, I'm just new to all of this. Yeah, see? So, moving about curiously, using your head a lot, and just turning your body and your arms while you're looking around will make that exploratory feeling, more an additive into that. Give it a try.
Mhm.
You don't forget to use your arms.
The shader on the avatar's weird.
Yeah. See, even just using more than one sort of like limb at a time will bring your character, more alive than it was much more before. Thank you. Shade,
I
you
have to
wanted
put some
to
more
have
thought
a
into it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Go on. So, what do you think your tempo and attitude is?
I think I would be like more like kind of happy, giddy, excited to see people.
Yeah. How do you think you can convey that into gesture and motion?
Well, I don't really have like full body, but I think I can use my arms and like my ears. Like I could.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's what I love about the Hopkin ears as well, is that they're very, very emotive. Like even just turning your head a little bit will make it seem inquisitive. I think I'm not sure, but I think there's controls in them with 3.0 as well, where you can turn them back. Like even that alone is very, very helpful in gesturing the things that you wanna, gesture to people. So you want to be happy when you see people. So you're going like, oh yeah, I'm way happy, man. Like yeah. Walking around, being excited about these things is only conveyed in virtual reality by moving around and gesturing. It's very, very hard to do the things that we do in real life in VR, but thanks to gesture and motion, we can convey these things anyway. So give it a try if you like. Yeah, like that. Like you're already moving around a little bit. Like, yeah, it's like see, you're super happy. You're way happy. And having gestures enabled as well is, going to help that a lot. And especially among friends, they have everything enabled across the board. You're gonna seem a lot more alive to people. You're gonna seem a lot more interactable. Thank you. See here.
Now I'm
Renzo.
actually curious.
Yeah?
I'm not feeling terribly up to it at the moment.
All right, then that's fair.
I'll explain later.
I'm actually curious what you could do on desktop. I'm just been thinking about what I could do.
Yeah. So, you have the gestures that you can do, with left and right shift, and then 1 through 8, I think. As
Yeah,
a
F1 through F8.
baseline, avatars have to have expressions on them, of course, and you can practice these as well in front of a mirror. You have usually your happies, your sads, or exciteds, your sassy, all of that.
Sometimes you can combine them as well.
Exactly.
What about movements?
SDK
Like
3.0.
super happy, jumpy. I'm so
Yeah, 'cause you've got the
excited.
puppeteering.
Yeah.
So it can be like
Desktop,
listening around.
VR chat is a little bit limited, but exactly what you say. You can jump around, you can move your camera around with the mouse. Together with these emotes as well, with the shift buttons, if you can remember them. So, for instance, on the Rex, you can do the sad emote and then look down. You can do the happy emote, look up. You can do the sassy one, look to the side. There's always a way to convey what you're feeling, and there's always a way to convey what what character traits you want to put out there. inherently it's going to be limited because you don't have your arms, and in real life, these things are easier than they are in VR. Any questions?
See if Twitch says has any.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Hold on then.
I've got one
Perfect
then.
time.
Do you need a question?
52.
Yeah, go on here.
It's more of a question about photographs and stuff, but like trying to get people to pose in a good way and such. Do you have any tips or anything about communication or trying to get the right pose for people?
Again, knowing what you look like to other people. Thank you for your question. Knowing what you look like to other people is crucial for getting good pictures out. So, if you're proud, you gotta look proud. So you're gonna turn up a little bit. You're gonna put your arms maybe at your side. You're gonna, be all that. Be the high life. You're gonna be a big angry wolf. You're gonna be, that hunched over, that menacing, that sort of like ominous. If you're gonna be cute, you're gonna be all up on them. You're gonna be super adorable. You're gonna be way cute for them, for the camera. And good ways to imagine how you might want to look to other people in the ways of gesture and motion is by looking at pop culture. So looking at popular films, things that people all know. You can look at, for instance, I don't know, Avenger films. If you want to be big and stupid, look for the Hulk. If you want to be a proud, dickhead, be Tony Stark. These are the good examples.
Oh God.
So
I just remembered. I
you
think
can look.
Probably give a few
Yeah.
examples.
Sorry, I think this lying down or whatever, or even crouching or whatever, but lying down works best for this one. I think that can help give a good character too.
Yeah.
I have a
So there's
question from
always
Twitch
ways.
chat
Oh yeah, go on. Yeah.
by Baston. Do you have to overreact sometimes, like being too much adorable or cute?
That's almost the core of what you're doing. Overreacting because, okay, think of it like the walking example I gave earlier. Instead of just walking, you're moving your entire body one way and the other. You have to motion with it all. So in a way, you're always overreacting to get it across because in VR and in fursuit, it's so incredibly difficult to get these things normally across. Unless, of course, you're trying to get from A to B, like a lounge room with big, fans in there because you're super hot and you just sprint to it. But if you want to be that character to other people, you have to overreact the gestures that you're doing. Anything else?
But I just realized. Okay, I have two things.
Yeah.
Unless you want to go first.
Okay.
You go
I
first.
actually do have
Happy.
After you.
Okay, so for one, I just realized this one is kind of broken with the new update, I think. Lying down doesn't look the same. Or maybe I just didn't realize it was kind of awkward. Secondly, if you've ever seen that, like, 7 Principles of Animation, something like that, like, that's Principles of Animation thing on YouTube.
Yeah.
That does actually say that exaggerating movement actually makes it a lot more lively in animation.
Exactly.
So I guess that can apply to being a character too. In like VR chat, you are more lively and actually look more realistic by not actually acting realistic, but instead acting really exaggerated, and that helps accentuate the.
100% that's why a lot of avatars
on
have
point.
exaggerated dynamic bones.
You two are exactly on point, because in a way we are trying to get those ideas across. The fine mimics of real life just won't cut it. So exaggerating our movement will bring it to life more and have it be more interesting outside of the character that we already are. Go ahead.
All right, yeah. When we're talking about portraying your characters how you're able to emote stuff in VR chat and versus a fursuit. If your stick is being mischievous, small, and cute, and in real life you're really tall and you get a fursuit, you're really big. Is it still? It's still a little bit challenging to come off as a character that's supposed to be small and adorable, even though you're big.
That's going to be very tough, yeah. But being able to, let's say, so placing yourself in an environment which accentuates your character. So let's say you're 6'4" and you have a fursuit, so immediately you're 6'6", and you want to be small, right? You want to be mischievous. You don't quite fit through most doorways with this, but most of the convention centers that events are held in, most of the places that you go to with all these suits, usually have much bigger rooms. So by placing yourself within these rooms, that sort of size, that falls away a little bit. And because you can act and gesture small and mysterious, you can still sneak around. But because the room is so large, because the surrounding area is so sort of like an anti-aesthetic for what you are, it will even out and you'll still be able to look small and mysterious. Of course, it's going to be difficult, but with practice, you can do it. Any other questions?
If you don't mind, from Twitch chat.
Yeah.
Here's one by the Purple Dragon. He asked, "How would a wolf of 6'30" walk? Not werewolf. I don't have a fursuit or VR chat.
A wolf of 6'30". With a
6'3". Sorry, I'm not American.
That's all right. So a 6'3" wolf. Well, that depends entirely on the tempo and attitude that they've selected. These things, they tie into the core principle of the gesture and motion that you do. So, again, by looking at pop culture, you can be very cute and careful, very fast and menacing. And by using the size that you have, you can amplify or minify these things. So being a large wolf will naturally help you be intimidating and fearsome. Being a small mouse will naturally help you be cute and adorable. These things tie in with the core principle that you set your own character to be. I'll be like on, I think, next weekend as well for that person. If they want to add me and ask more questions, then go ahead. Any other questions? More from Twitch
Give
chat?
the
or-
audience a chance.
Yeah, I'll wait.
I'll give the audience a chance.
Time.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'll ask
Well,
the
in
last
that
one from
case-
Twitch chat, unless.
Yeah.
Oh, well, never mind. Time.
Go on then.
Oh, I put it up. Come on. Let's see. What about a cat? How can one express that physically in VR?
What?
What about a cat? How can one express that physically in VR?
A cat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I said just now, tempo and attitude, motion, gesture. But a cat, if you think of that, usually they're, cocky bastards who think they're the king of everything. So, you can, probably just like walk up a little bit, like so, and just like, oh, well, it's you lot again. Great. Like, I don't really care about all that, to be honest. Where's my fish? Like
Where's my
that.
food? Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel called out, but accurate.
I'm so
That's
sorry.
my cat.
All right. Well, this all concludes my lecture, and I hope you all have learned something, and I hope you've all enjoyed it. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for Furality for hosting me. I appreciate it a lot. This has been incredibly nerve-wracking, and I hope I can see you next time.
You did awesome.